Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, I'm Cheyenne. So if you don't know, I have a little girl. She is now 2 weeks and 4 days old, which is crazy. Wednesday she'll be 3 weeks. I asked you guys to ask me questions about labor and delivery and basically anything like pregnancy related or with her. I'm going to show you guys her real fast. She keeps moving her bow. She keeps having her bow on and then she keeps pulling it down her face. Okay, hold on. Alright, we took the bow off because it was not working. Now she's just eating. Anyways, I chose 25 questions out of the list that I'm going to answer. So it's not strictly just labor and delivery. It's just all around the topic. I have them all in this notebook. So that's what I'm reading off of. The first question is, did you have to get stitches from tearing or did you get a C-section? So I did have her vaginally. I didn't get a C-section. I had a first-degree tear, so it wasn't that bad. I did have to get some stitches, but it only took a few minutes. The stitches are no longer there. It's still healing and everything, but it wasn't too bad. The next question is, how long was the labor process? So I got induced on December 9th. I was scheduled at 12 a.m. So I showed up to the hospital at about 11:45. By the time I got checked into a room and was like all settled, ready to go, it was about 1:30 before they started the Pitocin, which kind of kick-started the contractions and everything. And then they'd come in like every 20-30 minutes and up the dosage. So that was started at 1:30 in the morning, and she was born at 9:09 a.m. It wasn't too bad. It didn't take that long. It felt like forever when I was in pain and I was like anxious and everything. But I was able to like take some naps and stuff to pass time when I wasn't feeling like I was dying. So it only took about like 7.5 hours total, which isn't too bad. For some people, getting induced took forever for them, or even just if they went to the hospital with steady contractions and was dilated like a lot, it took a while, like a lot longer. Like I know some people, I was scared it was gonna take forever. I know some people go in to give birth and it's like they're in labor for like over 24 hours or like 12 plus hours. I could not imagine that, so I got lucky, which 7.5 hours still seems kind of long, but it wasn't too bad. If you see me keep looking over here, I'm looking to watch her. I set her bottle up so she's eating over there in her swing. The next question, it's been asked a lot and I feel like I've answered it so many times on Instagram, TikTok, I've said it on here, but let me just clear this up. It's how old am I? I was 16 when I found out I was pregnant, and then that was in April. My birthday is in May, so I turned 17 when I was like a month and a half pregnant. I'm currently 17, so hope that cleared that up. Question number, I don't remember what number we're on, but how long were you pushing for? This one I also got lucky. People push for a long time, or like 20-30 minutes, even that. What happened was, after I got the epidural, I took a nap and I was about 6 centimeters dilated, and then I was woken up from my nap about 50 minutes later. I remember the time, it was 8:53 when I woke up from my nap because my doctor had come in to check me and see how far dilated I was after the epidural and everything and the stronger contractions. So I was like half awake and she checked me and she didn't get too far because her head was like already coming out. She was trying to get out. And I had the epidural, so I didn't feel it really. Like from my belly button down, I could not feel anything. So at that point, at 8:53, she said a 10 plus 2. And she was like, all right, are you ready to start pushing? And me still being half asleep, I was like trying to wrap my head around the fact like I'm about to push, she's about to come out. And I was low-key freaking out. Within the next few minutes, there was multiple nurses that came in and they had me doing practice pushes, and I was up on the stirrups and ready to go. My mom was freaking out. She wasn't really showing that she was freaking out, but I know she was freaking out. So then I started pushing it was like 9 o'clock, a little after 9, and she was born at 9:09. So it was between like 5 and 10 minutes. It felt like longer. It was just, she was just out. She was ready to go. I also have a lot of questions for this one. It says, was it tough with COVID, or did COVID affect your labor at all? So it was really different with COVID, and I was only allowed one person in the room, which also kind of sucks because I wanted my mom, but I also wanted my boyfriend. It took a while to make that decision of who was going to be with me, and there was some emotional conversations along the way, which was really stressful, but at the end of the day, I'm happy with the decision that I did make. Before I got induced, I had to get COVID tested, which sucked. It was terrible. I been tested twice during my pregnancy. I did not like it at all. It literally felt like they were tickling my brain. So there was that part. And then also, I wasn't allowed to leave the room while we were in there, and we obviously had to wear masks and everything. Once I was like in active labor, I was able to take off my mask, and then my mom was able to take off her mask as long as like the nurses and everything weren't in there. But when they came in, or when she left the room, she had to put her mask back on. I couldn't leave the room. I know a lot of people like to help them dilate. They like walk the halls and do all this stuff. My mom would leave sometimes, not a lot, just like go outside, or if she needed to run home real quick, because she did stay with me the whole time, or to go to the cafeteria, or they did have a Starbucks in the hospital, so she'd go and get coffee because she was so anxious and nervous and freaking out that she didn't sleep. I slept more than she did. So, yeah. Question number... I still don't remember which question we're on. How did I choose her name? I have told this story a few times. I do have a video on my TikTok explaining where I got her name, but for everyone else, I will tell you right now. It's a bit of a longer story. So basically, I know most of you are probably aware, some of you maybe not, but in 2012, there was the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, where there was multiple teachers and a lot of students killed or injured. I was in 8th grade when I researched about the topic and everything, and I had come across this tribute song by Baby Kaylee called, I think it's Now They're Up in Heaven, and it had all the names and pictures of everyone who was hurt during it. But basically, there was this one little girl named, also for those of you who don't know, my daughter's name is Avielle. But there was this one little girl, she was 6. Her name was Avielle Rose Richmond, and she was adorable. So I had her picture and everything. I know it's kind of a sad story, but yeah. She was killed during the shooting. I'd never heard the name before. I thought it was super unique and cute, and I just instantly fell in love with it. Fast forward sophomore year, I took child development in school. And then we were able to take home, you know, like those fake babies. And I kept one for the weekend. I had a girl, and I had named her Avielle. And I just like always had in my mind, like, if I have a daughter one day, like, this is gonna be her name. I had no other names in mind. So that was sophomore year. and I named my little fake baby Abiel. And then when I got pregnant, I, picked out a boy's name and a girl's name, and I told my boyfriend, I was like, this is the name. If it's a girl, this is what we're gonna name her. I didn't really give him much of a choice there. The boy's name, I was more like, I didn't really know any names for a boy. At first we did think it was a boy, but then later on when I found out it was a girl, I just immediately knew her name. And I think it still fits with her. I know some people will have a name and they'll change it after their baby is born if they don't think the name like matches up with how they look or whatever. But no, I kept the name, and I'm really happy with the decision that I made, because picking out names is hard. Like, you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. I mean, I guess you could change it once you're old enough, but really hard decision. But I got lucky that it was a girl, so I already had the name, and that's basically the story behind her name. Alright, so these few questions kind of apply to like her specifically. First, it was what was her length/weight. When she was born, she was 6 pounds and 12 ounces, and she was 18.5 inches long. When we had left the hospital, we stayed, so I had her Wednesday morning, we had left Friday like afternoonish. But when we left the hospital, she was the same length, but she was 6 pounds and 5 ounces, because they always lose some weight afterwards. Currently, we went to the doctor Wednesday. Today's Sunday. Yeah, we went Wednesday, and she was 19.5 inches, and she was 6 pounds and 13 ounces. She was losing weight, and then she finally just passed her birth weight, which is good, but she had a problem spitting up her formula, so it took a little bit to start adding weight because she just kept losing it, which was kind of frustrating. And the doctor was like, hey, like, what's going on? But I was trying. Okay. Then the next one is, what color are her eyes? Her eyes, when she was born, they were like super gray. I loved them. And then they've been changing like over the past 2 weeks, so now they're sort of like they're more blue than gray. They do still have some gray around them, but they are like a darkish blue. Although they're blue right now, we do expect her eyes to be like some shade of brown, or definitely get darker. I think they said like 9 to 12 months for a baby to get their permanent eye color, and then it's like 6 months for the skin color. So guess we wait and see what color her eyes will actually end up being. Another question kind of like about her, it says, what was your reaction after you first saw your daughter? I didn't really know what to expect. Honestly, I wasn't that nervous to have her until like it actually came time to like go get induced. Like that whole day I was freaking out, and I was thinking like worst case scenario, like what if something happens to her, and just all these bad thoughts going in my mind. And there's people trying to like calm me down and everything, like everything's gonna be fine. But like I did not imagine myself actually leaving the hospital with the child, which sounds terrible. But if you've been in the situation, I'm sure you probably know all the thoughts that go on, and freaking yourself out. But yeah, I was pretty scared. When she first came out, I was like in shock. And like I said earlier, like I had just woken up from a nap. It was so fast. And she kind of just came out and started crying, and I was just in shock, honestly. And they put her on me, and I was like trying to look at her, and there was so many thoughts going through my head. I don't know. I had no, like I still don't know. It was crazy. I was like, this child just came out of me, like I'm a mom. So there wasn't just like one thought going through my brain. It was like a bajillion thoughts just everywhere. I was all over the place. I didn't know what to think, how to feel, anything. So the next two kind of go together. It says, what was the hardest part of your labor and delivery? It was pretty easy. It was a lot better than I expected. I expected so much more pain. and just, I don't know, I was freaking myself out about it. The hardest part was probably the contractions before the epidural. They were so bad. And then the other question, it says, what was the pain like? This was the only part really that hurt so much. The contractions, they were so strong, and like the Pitocin had me, like, made me feel nauseous, and I just felt like I needed to be by a toilet at all times. And obviously I'm hooked up to all these machines, so I can't just get up and go to the bathroom. But the contractions, they hurt so bad. It felt like forever, but it was only going on for like 30-45 minutes before I got the epidural. Once I got the epidural, it was great. I was a completely different person, and I was able to just relax and fall asleep, which was great. Another painful thing, or like another hard part about it, was after I had her, the first time going to the bathroom, let me tell you, so painful. It hurt so bad. So a nurse has to go with you to the bathroom after the epidural wears off and everything. And there are so many steps that you had to take just to go to the bathroom. And obviously you had like just pushed out a baby, so going to the bathroom wasn't gonna be comfortable. And you couldn't wipe, which also sucks, and I still can't. But so the nurse basically had to show me how to do everything, like all the aftercare, which took forever, and it took a while to get the hang of, but now it's fine. And like after a few days, like it was okay. It still hurt a bit. It still kind of hurts a bit, but just the first time, oh my god, I can't even explain how it feels. Unless you've been through it, you're not gonna understand how it feels. If you've ever had like a UTI, it's like that times like 10. So painful, and there was obviously a lot of blood and super uncomfortable. Especially me trying to sit there, go to the bathroom, and the nurse is just staring at me, making me feel awkward. We got through it. It's all good now. So I had already kind of answered this one earlier, or told you guys, or a lot of you may know if you watch my TikTok videos, who was with you when you delivered. My mom was with me. It was really hard. I obviously wanted my boyfriend to be there, but I can only have one person, and due to our situation, it was best to have my mom, and my mom has had 3 kids, so she knows like what to expect. It was just easier for me because she's been through it, and she like knew how to calm me down, what to do, how to help me. And then for the couple days we stayed after having her, because like I had never really taken care of a baby, like especially not one that's a couple hours old. She had helped me like get the hang of feeding her, changing her, putting her clothes on. I got good at swaddling, which, I mean, not the best. The nurses did it so great. She looked like, I still call her like a little burrito. But yeah. And then, how many weeks were you when you were induced? I was 39 weeks exactly. I had to take a break real fast because my battery died, but we're good now. Where were we? So these next few are more about like actual delivery and having her and all that. How dilated were you when you were induced? I kind of said this earlier. No, I didn't. Just kidding. So when I went in to get induced, I was about 3.5 centimeters, and then the epidural at 6 centimeters, and then I was 10 plus 2, whatever that means, when I physically pushed her out. How was it delivering the placenta? I've heard a lot of stories about this, like some say it feels like jello or all kinds of weird stuff. Delivering the placenta, I didn't feel it. So I had the epidural, so from my belly button down, like I had said, was almost completely numb. I did feel a little pressure, but It didn't really feel like anything. It kind of just like, I didn't have to like push or anything to get the placenta out. She kind of like just grabbed it. No weird stories or nothing. It was pretty simple. And then did they have to push on your stomach afterwards? Yes, they did, just to get any remaining fluids and everything. It was really weird watching her push on my stomach, because right after I had her, I shrank in size like by a lot. It's kind of just squishy and weird. I've always been really small. I've never been able to like grab my skin really, if that makes sense. So it was weird just seeing all like the remaining skin, loose skin, I guess that's what you call it. And then also to go along with this, I've been asked many times if I felt the ring of fire. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't even know that was a thing. I had no idea what the ring of fire was until like earlier today. Honestly, I looked it up. No, I did not feel it. I'm glad I didn't feel it because it sounds painful. All right, another break because somebody woke up and wanted to be in the video. She won't keep her bow on all the way, so it's kind of like crooked on her head. Hopefully she'll fall asleep. I have like 6 questions left. So the next one is, was the epidural as bad as it seems? The epidural itself wasn't bad. It didn't hurt. It was kind of just uncomfortable. But the first time that they tried to stick it in my back was, I was in the middle of a contraction, which obviously was not comfortable. So my mom like saw the pain on my face. So they had stopped, and then once the contraction was over, then they put it in. It wasn't painful, it was more just uncomfortable, and it felt kind of weird because you can just like feel it. And then it took, I think by like 10 minutes after getting it, I was numb, I was chilling, I was good. But for me personally, I had said earlier how the Pitocin was making me feel sick, and the contractions at that point were terrible, and I just wasn't in a good place. I had basically just shut myself in the bathroom, and I was like, I'm just gonna wait here because I just felt better being in the bathroom. So I wheeled my little IV thingy in there and got unhooked from everything else, and I kind of just stayed in the bathroom. But then they had said before they gave me the epidural that they had to pump some fluids into my IV, which I did not know they had to do. So I was just sitting here like, I thought I was about to get the epidural. I thought everything was going to be fine. And then they said it was going to take about 30 minutes, which was terrible. I didn't have to wait the whole 30 minutes. I waited about 10 minutes, but it felt like forever. And then they had to, again, force me out of the bathroom to get the epidural. I knew I was about to feel so much better after getting it, but in that moment, I felt so terrible. I did not want to leave the bathroom. So it took a few minutes, and I finally got out and got the epidural. The next one's about my pregnancy. So I did wear jeans sometimes while I was pregnant, but most of the time I wore leggings. But the question is, how did you put on jeans when you were pregnant? Obviously, they wouldn't button. What I would normally do is I had a belly band, and I also had like a maternity belt. Since it wouldn't button, I would cover up like the part, like the top of the zipper and the button with one of those 2 things, and normally I just put a longer shirt to cover it, so nobody would know that my pants were secretly not zipped or buttoned. It's definitely a struggle to even put on the pants. I honestly think it was harder taking them off. I kept ripping through my leggings, so I had to start wearing some other things, which sucked. The next question I have also answered, I think it was like a while back. Do you want another baby? I had always imagined myself, so like in middle school, you know, a lot of us were like picturing our future lives and where we expect to go and like how we see our future. I'd always see myself with a lot of kids. What are you doing? Like 5 kids. That's what I wanted. But then after getting pregnant and going through all that, I don't think 5 anymore. My max is 3. My boyfriend, he wants a son, but so you guys may know, the guy determines the baby's gender. So since we had a girl, it is likely that if we do have another child, that it will be a girl. So that's why the limit's 3, because like after 3 and no boy, I'm done. I'm not going through that again, which she's adorable and everything. Like, I don't regret any of it, but I just don't know if I could do it over and over so many times. Look at her headband. Like, look what she keeps doing. She's hungry. See, it's also harder to film YouTube videos now because, you know, her. So the next question is, how are you adjusting to motherhood? Basically, the Friday when I left the hospital, so my mom was with me in the hospital helping me like get the hang of everything, and I was still like in shock, like I have a baby, oh my gosh. But then when I had come home from the hospital on that Friday, my mom had stayed for a little bit and then she had left and I was on my own with her, which kind of sucked. The first few days, it was definitely hard, but I started, you know, getting the hang of it and like being able to tell by her faces like what she wants. Changing her diaper for me and changing her clothes at first was super hard, and I had to learn that babies are fragile, but they're not that fragile. They're actually super resilient, which like I didn't want to hurt her, obviously, and I thought everything that I was gonna do, like changing her diaper, changing her clothes, even ways to like hold her or feed her, was gonna hurt her, when in reality it's not gonna hurt her. She's fine. Currently now, like, it's a lot easier. It's only been a couple weeks, but it is so much easier, and it's gonna keep getting easier. Sometimes I'm obviously like gonna have some setbacks, but it's not as bad. These are like postpartum questions. What are some things you've done to help postpartum recovery? A few tips like for the bleeding and everything, because that's super annoying. Drinking a lot of water obviously helps a lot. And then today I'm wearing jeans. I have not really worn jeans since I had her. I had worn looser clothes. Recently I started wearing like tighter leggings and everything once I was out of like the big bulky pads. I switched to just like regular pads, a little bit thicker than like a panty liner. Another thing to help like with the bleeding and everything is pumping. If you're not breastfeeding, pumping can still be an alternative and can help a lot with the bleeding. Because I was still bleeding and then I started pumping and the blood just like went away. Obviously it wasn't like completely gone, but it had stopped so much and it was great. It was super uncomfortable at first, but it got easier. Lastly, obviously don't strain yourself too much. I wasn't just like babying myself and like sitting in bed and everything. I was there to take care of her, and I didn't want to just like sit in bed all day. But I also knew not to overwork myself because it's just going to lead to more pain and blood later and take a longer recovery time. You can get around, like go out, move around, do things, but don't overwork yourself. So the last question is, what are the best pads for after birth? That's how they worded it. So the hospital does give you pads. I didn't find those comfortable at all. So I had ordered my own pads. I got them off of Amazon, but you can find them in most stores. I have the box, I will show you. So this is the packaging. They're like almost gone, but it's the Always Discreet like bladder leaks pads. So they're extra heavy and they're long. Those pads were so helpful and they were so much more comfortable than the ones that the hospital gave you. I highly recommend those. I wore those up until a few days ago when the blood had let up a lot, and then I switched to the other pads. Highly recommend those to everyone. So that was the end of all my questions. I know I said I was answering 25, but I realized there were some repeats or some I had answered while like answering the other questions. I was also asked to do like a story time of my labor and delivery and all of that, which I initially said if I got induced, I was going to vlog it. I did start vlogging it, but as the pain grew more intense, I had kind of forgotten about the vlog, and so it was kind of pointless because I remembered after she was born and everything. So I'll probably put in clips of what I did have and then just do a story time for the rest. If you're not following my social media, it'll be linked down below. And then make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos from us. And she'll start making her appearance and more videos as well. Like, comment, all of that. Bye guys, thanks for watching. No, okay.